Hello, writers. Welcome to this week's Writer's Tool Shed. We have our 5-word tools that we're going to learn this week. Week 2 example story. At feeding time, the pigs crowded around the trough, pushing and shoving in their haste to get at the rich, goopy slop. Joe the farmhand laughed to see them there, round backs all lined up. He had brought some old turnips for them, too porous for human eating, the farm wife had said. They were impaled on a poker, and now he slung them off one by one and added them to the mix. The pigs ate with much snorting and snuffling. They're not generally known for their table manners. But when they were done, they licked every last drop from their mouths so that their sleek pink skin and white bristles shone clean. Then, lazy in the aftermath of their meal, they lay back in the pen and closed their eyes, totally serene. Birds fluttered by. The shadows moved slowly. Joe chewed on a piece of straw. It was a warm, contented day on the farm. So, looking at our first word, we have the slop, which is a noun, unappetizing, mushy food or soup. And maybe you've read a book when you were younger called I Really Like Slop, about a pig who tries to share her slop dish with her elephant friend. And it's a great one. But slop you can see is this like mushy stuff. It has all kinds of different ingredients, no one ingredient necessarily, and it's pigs really like it. Let's just say that. If you're writing with it, sometimes you'll hear slop, sometimes you'll hear swill, and they're used pretty similarly. But swill tends to have a more liquid meaning. Like if something is like, what is this swill? You're thinking of something that tends to be more liquidy, and you think of slop as a little bit less liquidy. You can think of slop will plop when you scoop it down. Sleek, it's an adjective, smooth and polished, attractive. This is a sleek car. Like you can see the lines that are very smooth, and the surface that is very that kind of glows, and you just look at it and it's pleasing to the eye. When you're writing with it, if you're talking about sleek versus shiny, like sleek has that kind of polished sense to it, but sleek has more smooth and like an even line. Something can be shiny and it doesn't matter what shape it is. Shiny is only about the light that's kind of coming off of it or reflecting off. But sleek has much more to do with the shape and the feel. Aftermath, a noun, the period of time after a big event, especially a destructive event. Like if you have a volcanic eruption, in the aftermath, that means the time when the eruption is over, like the eruption is not still happening, but in the aftermath, you might see all of these clouds still up in the sky because of all the ash that got shot out of the volcano. So aftermath has the sense of a time period, and it's usually less chaotic. Like there's not much happening in the aftermath. Aftermath versus outcome. Outcome has more to do with the result. Like, what is the actual result of this happening? The outcome of the volcanic eruption might be a huge wave that sweeps over the shore, but the aftermath would be the time when everything stopped. Serene is an adjective, clear, calm, untroubled. This is a serene lake in the middle of the mountains, and this guy is looking out on it. If you're writing with it, you hear serene and peaceful used together, used kind of interchangeably, but there's a slight difference because peaceful has more to do with like the opposite of fighting, the opposite of war. But serene has more to do with like there's no almost no motion at all. Like a lake could be peaceful but still have waves going up and down. But if there are waves going up and down, you wouldn't call it so serene. Serene is more like absolutely still. You could go for a peaceful walk because nobody fought you. You didn't have anything like coming up against you. But you wouldn't say, I had a serene walk because you were moving during that time. Last one is flutter, which is a verb, to wave or flap quickly with no pattern. You can see these flags fluttering in the breeze. Um, and flutter versus flap. Flap has the sense of like a bird's wings, but flap tends to have more intention to it and more of a rhythm.